In this lesson, we are going to be learning about the proper use of quotation marks. In the meme here, you will see that a technical term has a quotation mark around it, which is wash hands. Some of you might be confused about why this is being designated as a technical term. I'm not really sure either, so be careful with where you put your quotation mark because people might get the wrong idea. First rule, use double quotation marks for direct quotes. So this is what a double quotation mark looks like. It almost looks like two apostrophes jammed together. There is such a thing as a single quotation mark, but we'll get to that later in the lesson. So anytime you are directly quoting someone, in this case, the sentence says, "I hope you will be here." There are two double quotation marks on either side because we are directly quoting someone who said, "I hope you will be here." An incorrect way of using double quotation marks would be the sentence here that says, "He said that he hoped I would be there." In this case, you are not directly quoting the person as they are speaking. You are paraphrasing them. So anytime that you take another person's words and put them into your own words, that is what we call paraphrasing. You would not use double quotations here. You would just write the sentence as a regular sentence. Here's how you would use this technique in any kind of written report. So this person wrote a media report about the conflict between Taylor Swift and Kanye West. So they wrote here, "The public loves Taylor Swift." And their proof was in 2009, when Kanye West made an insulting remark towards Swift, even President Barack Obama jumped to her defense. And you can see here that they've given credit to the person they quoted from. So in this case, Saxton could have written a magazine article on page 62 of some pop magazine, and maybe they described the whole event, but instead of this person quoting the whole "I'm gonna let you finish," but they just skipped to the important information, which was Kanye made a insulting remark and President Barack Obama jumped to her defense. So they have paraphrased a major part of an article, but they have still respected the fact that it was not their work. So this is how you paraphrase. And it is okay to do this, but make sure that you are giving the original writer credit for their idea. Otherwise, it is plagiarism. Rule number 2. So there are two parts here. The first part is periods and commas always go inside quotation marks. That's also true of exclamation points and question marks. So you'll see here, I'm jumping to the second part of this example. He yelled, comma, "Hurry up." And you'll see that the period stays inside the quotation. You do not need to put one after. And this is the error that has been made down here. In this sentence, Mike shouted, comma, quote, "Pass me the ball." There's an exclamation point. And after I have put a period here, you do not need this. You just need the exclamation point, which is inside this quote, to finish off the sentence. And then you could start a new sentence. Part 2, always capitalize the first word in a quote. And this is where this sentence is incorrect again. Mike shouted, comma, quote, "Pass me the ball." Pass needs to be capitalized. So you'll see here, he yelled, comma, quote, "Hurry up." Hurry up here. Hurry has a capital H. It is a separate thought. It is another person's thought. You need to capitalize the first letter and the first word. Again, here's another example. So the exclamation point is here. "Who goes there?" said the sentry. So you have to make sure the question mark is still inside the quotation because it is a question. You do not need to put an extra comma here. It's understood that the thought is over, and that's it. "We're losing speed," screamed the captain. Make sure you keep the exclamation point inside the quotation mark. Otherwise, we don't know if the person is shouting. If you took this out and you just put a comma there, I would probably just read it as, we're losing speed. But then I'd be confused as to why the captain is yelling loudly, but doesn't have an exclamation point. So make sure that if you are quoting somebody, you are quoting them properly. Rule number 3, use single quotation marks for quotations within quotations. Here's an example. So Dan said, in a town outside of Brisbane, I saw tourists go home written on a wall. So he did not say tourists go home. Dan is just telling you that he was in a town outside of another town where he saw a sign. And since he's reading the sign, he needs to add a single quotation in his own quotation. So you are quoting him as he is quoting a sign. But then someone told him, pay it no mind, lad. So he has added another set of quotes in his quote, which you are quoting. Anyway, so I'll start fresh with a new example here. So Julie said, so we're quoting Julie, and we see that Julie is the original person we're quoting. So we're putting double quotation marks for her. Maria said, I do not care. And since we are quoting Julie, who is quoting Maria, we are putting single quotation marks to show that it's a quote within a quote. Rule number 4, quotation marks are often used with unfamiliar words. This is similar to the italics lesson. So quotation marks can be used to highlight technical terms, and that's why you see Dr. Evil using the quotation fingers anytime he's going over some kind of evil plan in the Austin Powers movies. Terms that are used in an unusual way, or quotation marks might be used to highlight expressions in a text. For example, if you're using a metaphor like burning the midnight oil, you might use quotation marks in your text to highlight that. Do not use single quotation marks for this. If you are trying to say a word a certain way, Dr. Evil here is using the quotation fingers for, I call it YOLO. Since YOLO might be an unfamiliar word to older people like myself, you would use quotation fingers to block it off. Here's a way you might not want to use it. I would never buy anything that had, quote, cheese burgers. That would sketch me out. Just like this sign says, fireworks, quote, you can trust, unquote, are sold here. I might not want to buy those fireworks because I don't know what they mean by you can trust. There's a lot of different ways you can read that, so be careful. And that is it for today's lesson.